feel, 'cause I know that it's something real. Gonna say how I feel, 'cause I know that it's something real. Hey, hey. Gonna say how I feel, 'cause I know that it's something real.
Hey everybody, how are you guys today? It's been a sunny day. Let me do one other thing I'm typing here. Ooh. Yes. So, there we go. Bob was working this morning on cleaning gutters, and my son-in-law came out and brought Lachlan because Lachlan had a cough, so he couldn't go to daycare, and so he came with him and he helped with. If you saw my Instagram story, he was using the leaf blower to clean off the deck, but they got the gutters clean, and I gave Bob my massage for the day. I had scheduled so that he could get recharged, and then I kind of zoned out and I didn't do a whole lot of stuff. I just kind of relaxed and watched everybody's premieres all afternoon. It was really a lot of fun. Yeah, so it was great, but as a result I was didn't quite have my authors websites up so I could talk about them and show you guys. Funny. That's the way it is. So anyway, let's check in, see how everybody's doing here. Yay! There's Tamra and Deirdre, the Voice 2022 Australia and France. Oh, I haven't seen the Australia Voice. I haven't caught up with that. And Donna, hi there, and Deirdre, yay! Love the Voice. We don't have a Canadian one, so watch the US. Yes. I've been watching American Idol, and I was really bummed that Christian got kicked off on Monday night. Was it Sunday night, Monday night, whatever night they had that? And they put the vote out so the West Coast doesn't get a vote. It's all live, and unless you go on the app and remember to do it 3 hours ahead of time, the West Coast doesn't get to vote. It's only, So it's always really interesting because to see that when you know that the vote is coming from one part of the country and not the other, so it's not surprising a lot of times when I know country music is very popular, but there's a lot of other kind of music, and so it's always interesting to see who tends to get the most and who gets kicked off and who they end up with the most in those things. Yeah, so I like to see it better when it's all live voting and they let everybody for the whole 24 hours. Yep, that's me. There's Deirdre and yes, Angie, hi, how are you? Watch the British show too. That's fun. Live chat reminder. I have no idea where I unfortunately have my chat over here on this screen rather than the one in front of me, so it looks like I'm not looking at you guys or talking to you, but I am. I'm trying to read here and catch up. And hello, Nathan. Ooh la la. Hi, how are you, sir? Yep. Deirdre and Tammy, Donna. There we go. Has Gina DeLuca seen the video? I hope you don't mind. I mentioned it in the chat of her premiere on Sunday. She sounded excited and said she was going to watch. Good job, Donna. Yay. Yep. So the opening video of you saw all those pictures were all pictures with my sisters and me, and over the years with grandkids and stuff. My sisters and I used to do this thing called Grandma Camp, and it was hilarious. We'd have the grandkids come. Haven't done it, and we had to cancel Grandma Camp, of course, in 2020. So but it was appropriate today for the stories that I have for today. And yeah, thanks. I also found out today that Layla and Lachlan and Annalena and Philip may be moving, or most likely are moving away. And I'm just like, I'm very excited for them, for Annalena's job, for what it's doing, and where they need to be and stuff. But it's like, oh, yeah, not. Grandma Goo's wrapping her head around that. Hi, Lupe, how are you? I watched yours today. I like that. What was it? The ghost orchid. I watched that today. That was really fun. Yeah, and I watched American Idol. Next Mother's Day to the honorary Latinas in the group for today. My friend Carlos, who's from Puerto Rico, always would do me. He's like, Chica, your freckles have to get a lot closer together. Yeah, I just, I can read most Latin languages. I can read them out pretty well. I just don't know what I'm reading. Yeah, how's that for you? I can figure out what they say, and I know how to say them. I can pronounce them, and lots of times I can communicate in other languages because I talk with my hands so much, and we figure out what I'm saying, and I know a few words here and there, but I can never get my brain to connect enough to get up more than just a few sentences. And plus, then I don't practice well. I was one of those kids that school was really easy for, so I never had to study. And you might think that that's all well and good. Oh, how lucky for you. Mm-mm. It means if something takes me more effort these days, it's kind of, it's like, oh, really? Seriously? I have to study? I'm so bad. Oh. Hi, Gloria. Am I frozen? No, am I? Oh no. Yeah, mixed emotions. So, let's see. Remind me who is in Arizona. Donna, are you in Arizona? And I know Gail is, I think. And I know Julie E. Hi, Larry. They're... I know. Deirdre's in Canada. Nope, Julie E is. Donna, you're not in. Okay, Donna. That's right. Julie E is, but I think somebody else. Gail, I think. Sparkle's in Tucson. Okay. And then Gail, I think. Gail Duke is in Arizona. Yeah. All right. There's Gloria. All right, you guys. Well, it's good to have you here today and to have all of these wonderful things. As you heard me say that I kind of zoned out. So if I was going to show any art today, if I said I was, it's not happening because I didn't even. This morning I started to open emails and I just deleted junk mail, and then I went off to do other things because I knew Lachlan was coming over and I had to get my opening video done, and then I was looking at all the pictures of my grandkids and I kind of got lost in that. Ricochet Rabbit lives in my brain on certain days. Bing, 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 all over the place. And that was kind of like their, yeah, heaps far away. But it's heaps far away is not so bad when you go there and you go see all wonderful kind of things. But you guys have snakes. I have a thing about snakes. Don't like snakes. Nathan and Tamra. Yeah. Yeah. My grandpa and, oops, might be able to hear me better if I put my microphone up closer. You guys have probably been just listening, going, is she talking quietly? What's wrong with her? So yeah, back to the snakes. So my grandfather, when I was little, I was sitting in Grandma's rocker. I was kind of half fallen asleep in the sunshine and sitting there probably looking at a magazine or a book or something, and Grandma was doing something, and he came in the front door, and I know I was half asleep because he kind of snuck in, and he brought his hand up next to my ear and shook it, and he had the rattle from a rattlesnake in his hand. Okay, made me jump right out of the chair. I was pretty little when that happened. And I kind of, where I grew up in Eastern Washington, when you went hiking up in the foothill or up in the drylands, you always had to wear boots, heavier boots, higher boots. My mom always made us do that because of the rattlesnakes that were around, and they just, they'd be any place and anywhere, and I just don't like them. And I just don't like snakes in general. It's just not my thing. I know they're supposed to be fine and wonderful. It's not thing. I can get along. I've petted bats. I've held fruit bats. I've all kinds of birds I don't mind. I'm not even that bothered by spiders or bugs or stuff like that. But snakes, not a fan. Not a fan. Anyway, so that story, grandfather, and all of this kind of leads me to today's about topic. These are, and you're getting these books partially because they were like, I had checked them out and found them, and then now they're due, so I needed to read them to you. But it all kind of came together with this whole bit of the possibility of my grandkids moving, and yes, my daughter and son-in-law are moving too, but yeah, I had 20 years with my daughter. So, I haven't had that long with my grandkids yet. I want them closer. Oh well, I'll figure it out. I'll be okay. But it got me thinking about when I had read these books about the things that and the people that we have experiences with, and that are were our elders or people that we did things with, that the stories that went along with it, or even the activities. I used to go fishing with my grandfather, and he had a aluminum fishing boat and a little kicker motor, and we would go up to Rimrock Lake. It's up White Pass. It's here in Washington. And there was a little island, kind of, when the water was up high enough. This one part that stuck out was an island, and Grandpa would always said that was Melby Island. It was named after him because he'd caught the best fish off there. And I still remember being with him and dropping my bobber in the water and going to that island and that in that little boat and the kicker and other places that we would go, or sitting with him in the garage when he was loading shotgun shells to go hunting, and he would let me hold and tap in, everything in, and pour in the beads and everything. We'd tap it in, and then he taught me to whittle, and he used to make elk calls and duck whistles out of elk horn. They were beautiful, just beautiful things that he did. He was really a beautiful craftsman, and it was just a delightful thing. And then with my grandma, there were the things where we would go and have, we would go across the street to Gila's house, who was Grandma's good friend, and we would have tea with Gila or something like that. And then we would go to Mrs.Bungee's, who had this really cool garden in the back, and almost like an English garden you could walk around through, I think. And then walking to the grocery store, up to the Thrifty, and getting the animal crackers boxes and buying 7-Up and vanilla ice cream to come back and watch baseball on their black and white TV, because their friend Ruth would come over and Grandpa and Ruth would yell at the TV. Just those things that you did with those people. I had great aunts and great uncles, and those kind of experiences were things that I think helped to shape me as who I am, and how I later on, when I was my first year, summer after my first year in college, I worked nights at a nursing home, and I worked 10:30 at night to 7 in the morning, and I would play checkers at midnight with people that couldn't sleep, and just the things, and I'd listen to the stories, and it was always, it was really a treasure, and the memories that you have of those. And these 2 books talk about those things, but they talk about them in a kind of a way that also the authors, both of them, have had a way of using them as sometimes with kids with dealing with grief. And I thought about this because, obviously Lachlan and Layla are very sad about losing their Stella, and their whole family is. But there's just so many different kind of things and different books out there, or different ways, but what the memories go. And so these books just spoke to me tonight for this. So the first book that I'm going to read is by Alec Aspinwall, and he was raised in San Francisco Bay Area, died of sports until university, and he had a business degree. On a whim, he took a 1-year professional assignment in Asia that's now extended to almost 30 years working in international schools. Wow. And he has 2 kids, are now grown, and he continues to work abroad at Frankfurt International School in Germany. And they return to their home near Sandpoint, Idaho, with a view of the lake that's reminiscent of beautiful artwork Nicole Wong has created for the book I'll Be the Water. Sandpoint, Idaho is where Sarah Taylor lives, I believe. And it says I'll Be the Water, which is what I'm going to read, was the first book opted by a publisher and expats. It's a self-published book through Amazon. Do I have other stories coming out soon? I hope so. They're patiently waiting to be discovered, he says. And then Nicole Wong is the illustrator, and she has some just really beautiful things. She was born in Fall River, Massachusetts, both parents in the arts. Her dad was a designer and a painter, and her mom was a fashion illustrator and art teacher. So when she was a kid, she never thought of becoming anything except an illustrator. Wow. She drew constantly as a girl, and including on the walls behind furniture where her mom would find drawings years later. She got her first freelance illustration job when she was 12, and she wanted to learn more and graduated from Rhode Island School of Design with a BFA in illustration. And she still takes art classes to explore different media and techniques. The other thing I wanted about this book that, as he said, the birth of this story, he says the story behind the story. Although I'll Be the Water was published in 2020, it was written almost 20 years earlier. I was working at an international school in Asia where I began as an elementary school counselor. I often used books with students to initiate discussions, but couldn't find one that felt adequately addressed the subject of death of a loved one. And I decided to write a book that would help me broach this topic with young children. And a school colleague and I challenged one another to submit our stories for publication. We sent our manuscripts by snail mail across the Pacific Ocean to publishers in the United States. We would get together once a month to exchange the rejection notices that we received, like a pair of kids trading bubblegum cards. These notices were generally sent with an opening salutation, "Dear author," followed by a standard letter. It had been summarized, "Thanks, but no thanks." We laughed that even the proverbial Dear John rejection letters included a name, while our letters did not. He says shortly after the letter was written, his mother passed away suddenly. She was a far better writer than I ever will be, and I had been sharing my children's stories with her. I decided to give I'll Be the Water its first public reading at her funeral service. Although the story was about a grandfather and grandson, my mom was a terrific grandmother to her grandson and granddaughter, spending weeks each year with us in Asia and summers at the lake. Until after her funeral, the story, along with her other stories I'd written, were themselves laid to rest as my work moved from counseling to school administration. Almost 2 decades later, my wife and I found ourselves empty nesters. Wanting to find a way to fill that new void, I was encouraged by our head of school to return to my old passion of writing children's literature stories. And I dug out my old copies, made a few editorial changes, and again sent them off, now using the evolution of email rather than post. I was pleasantly surprised when I received a reply from Tilbury House Publishing, to whom I am incredibly grateful for introducing I'll Be the Water to a wider audience. That's a pretty cool story behind the story. Yeah, so. Yeah, Nathan, how is your headache? Gotta watch out for killers. You're not frozen. Good. Fruit bats, baby fruit. Yeah, I saw we got in the hot tub late last night, and the bats were flying around Angie. It was kind of fun. I thought of you. I used to have a pet snake. Well, in the Pacific Northwest, we have giant octopus. Yes, the great Pacific Northwest giant octopus that lives out there. Yes, you have rattlesnakes down there too, don't you? Okay. Okay, thanks. It's the 6th thumbs up. Thank you, Lupe Marie. Everybody, that's awesome. I'm certainly shocked. Oh, yeah. I only have you, but I have to run. Love you guys. Oh, thanks, Larry, for being here for a bit. Okay. Oh, dolphins. Okay, now I'm ready for this story. I caught up with everybody. 4th COVID shot a couple days ago, and now I feel like a truck has hit me. Yeah, that probably had to do with the headache too, but not having the shot is worse, I think. Anyway, here we go this is the first story called I'll Be the Water. Come on, open up. There we go. There we go. And it has this is the illustrator who her entire life was drawing and painting, and her family was all of it. I'll Be the Water, a story of a grandparent's love. I never thought Grandpa was old. He wasn't just my grandfather. He was one of my best friends. We liked the same things, like peanut butter and banana sandwiches, digging in the dirt, and going fishing on hot summer days. Sometimes we'd pretend his old car was a submarine and look for pirates or sunken treasure. It didn't matter where we went because every place became an adventure with Grandpa. Grandpa knew a lot about everything. I couldn't be with him for long without learning something. He would start a math lesson with a pocket full of change, or turn over a rock and teach me about science. Most of all, Grandpa and I loved to go fishing. We didn't care if we caught anything. Grandpa made me the captain of our boat. He made me feel like I could do anything I set my mind to. One day, I noticed that Grandpa really was old. I saw his wrinkles for the first time, like his skin had grown too big for his face. Then I saw that Grandpa's hands shook when he put a worm on my fish hook, and he got up a little slower after we'd been digging in the garden. Look at the animals they're looking at in the clouds. Grandpa, are you getting old? I asked. Joshua, he said, I've been getting old since I was a baby. I'm just getting better at it, that's all. We laughed and offered a toast with our ice cream cones. Then Grandpa went into the hospital. He said it was just for tests, but I felt scared. Grandpa, I said, I wish you weren't so good at getting old. He smiled and said, I've always been an overachiever. I asked my parents, what if Grandpa doesn't get better? What if the doctors can't keep him from getting old? My dad said, don't worry, Joshua, everything will be fine. But Dad had said the same thing when my best friend Kenny moved away and when my dog Barker died. And those things were definitely not fine. Grandpa finally got out of the hospital, and soon we were back at the lake. He could tell by how quiet I was that something was wrong, though. Joshua, you're biting even less than the fish, he said as we ate our lunch. What's on your mind? Are you trying to find a way to make broccoli taste like chocolate? I never could keep a secret from him, so I asked, are you afraid of dying, Grandpa? Grandpa laughed and said, you know, Joshua, nobody really knows what dying is like because nobody ever lives to tell about it. But I'm not afraid of dying. I still feel close to loved ones who have passed on before me, like your grandma. I don't think of her as being gone because each memory of her is like a special gift. I can unwrap again and again, and that's a gift I want to give to you too. You know, he said, I was about your age when my daddy died in a train accident. I remember crying enough tears to fill 2 oceans in a bathtub. He had promised us kids that he would always be there for us. I thought he'd broken his promise when he died. It seemed like all the frogs and birds on the lake grew quiet to listen to Grandpa. But it turned out he kept his promise after all. I just had to learn to look for him with my heart instead of my eyes. Think of it this way, he said. Today, you and I are like 2 fish swimming together in this lake. When I die, things will be different. I won't be a fish anymore, but I'll become something even better. I'll be the water. You might not think I'm with you, but we'll be closer than ever because you'll be surrounded by my love. I'll be wherever you go and by your side in whatever you do. I thought about the fish and the water beneath our boat and about Grandpa and me, and then I began to understand. Will you be there when I get in trouble at school? I asked. I'll be there, he said. What if I have to go on stage in front of everyone and play the piano? I'll be in the front row. Can you help me with my math tests? Grandpa laughed. I've never been much for math, Joshua, but we'll give it a go. We laughed a lot that afternoon, and even though we didn't catch a thing, it was the best fishing trip we ever had. It was also our last fishing trip. Grandpa went back into the hospital soon after, and the doctors weren't able to fix him. When my parents told me that Grandpa had died, I cried enough to fill 3 oceans and 2 bathtubs. I hurt inside for a long time. But then I began to see with my heart instead of my eyes. And I didn't feel so alone. As I grew older, I could see that Grandpa had kept his promise. His last gift to me was one that would always be there. Now, when my daughter and I go fishing or toast with ice cream cones or dig in the dirt or go on imaginary adventures, I teach her what Grandpa taught me. She knows we never have to feel alone or afraid because we are surrounded by a love that lasts forever. That's for all who have been our past mentors and remain our ever-present guides. And that's I'll be the water. That's beautiful. That's a really beautiful book. Yeah. You like how this ended? Yay. I know, isn't it? Such a powerful story. Yes. Yeah. So I know that this might have been a difficult story for some of you, but like Nathan said, it's a very powerful one. And the way it ended was to see with your heart. And I think that's really beautiful. I'm the elder in our family. Oh, Deirdre, they are lucky to have you. I am her, she is me. I will love us eternally. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful, Tamra. Absolutely beautiful. Now, the next book is by Molly Beth Griffin. And I was going to maybe get an art project together, but I think we're going to do art stuff tomorrow night. So have your sketchbooks handy and painting your stuff handy, because tomorrow night I'm going to have you test something out with me that I've got to do for stream night coming up next week at a local elementary. So Molly, let's see. Molly Griffin is author of 3 picture books. 10 Beautiful Things is the book I'm going to read tonight. Rhoda's Rock Hunt and Loon Baby. She's also published young adult novels Silhouette of a Sparrow. 2 chapbooks of poetry and a series of beginning readers. 2 more picture books are forthcoming in Big Leap and Rings of Heartwood, poems on growing. Wow. She's a graduate of Hamline University, MFA program in writing for children and young adults, and has been teaching writing for children to adults at the Loft Literary Center for 12 years. She critiques manuscripts, visits schools, and hosts a public monthly picture book salon for writers and illustrators. That's cool. She lives in South Minneapolis with her partner and their 2 children, where she enjoys hiking, taking photos, and drawing birds, eating pastries, watching mysteries, and waiting for the mail. That's cool. Let's see. This is the book I'm going to read tonight, called 10 Beautiful Things. And it is illustrated by Maribel Lechuga, I believe. Look at some of those illustrations that she's got. Ooh. Oh, you got, hey, Maria, can you said you just bought some pastels. Can you put the name of that artist from Indonesia that you're following in the chat? because I have some pastels too, and one of the ladies in my tart group is an amazing pastel artist, and I have a good friend who's an amazing pastel artist, but those are friends. Somebody I can follow anonymously that I can, yeah, I mean, so you know how that goes. Let's see. She's a freelance illustrator from Madrid, Spain. She's worked for clients all over the world, such as Anea, Edelweiss, Palabra, Heinemann. Oh, those are the different publishers. Her versatility and sensitivity make her illustrations stand out, bringing poetry to her artwork. Full of beautiful textures and bright colors, she loves nature, animal watching, hiking, and a good conversation. Well, and she has an Instagram site right there. So that's some of her wildlife illustration that she's done. Oh, look at the bear. Oh, cool. Nice. I like the bear. That's good. All right, so this is called 10 Beautiful Things. And let me get that one up. There it is. Expiring soon. Yes, I know, my checkout. I love the cover on this one. The whole. This has this book has a kind of a different, subtle background to it. It doesn't really tell the background story of why the little girl was with her grandmother, but you get the idea after a little bit. But it's really, this is a beautiful story. 10 Beautiful Things. There's a red-winged blackbird up there. Favorite bird of ours. We have a bunch of them right across the street. 10 Beautiful Things by Molly Beth Griffin. Lily ran her finger across the Iowa map. An X marked Graham's house on an empty patch of land. Lily's new home. Graham's car tires hummed against the pavement. Lily felt the vibration in her hollow chest. Let's try to find 10 beautiful things along the way, Graham said. Lily turned her eyes to the window. There's nothing beautiful here, she said. She struggled to fold the map so it nestled into itself just right. You'd be surprised, Graham said. And sure enough, at that very moment, the sun broke over the long horizon. Lily gasped. There's number 1, she cried. Right you are, Lily, said Graham. Fence posts rushed past. Graham flipped on the radio, trying to fill the silence. Lily felt the complaints starting in her belly again, coming up her throat and nearly out her mouth. But then Graham shouted, Number 2! A wind farm had sprouted in the field beside the freeway. Spinning windmill blades gleamed in the morning sun. Lily concentrated on the game and found number 3 real fast, a red-winged blackbird perched on a swaying stalk of last year's corn. It was dark and bright all at once. Its beak opened wide in a song they couldn't hear. Later, Graham signaled and turned the car onto a smaller road. 2 more highways to go, she said. Lily popped a handful of crackers into her mouth, but food didn't fill up her hollow places. Graham cracked her window, and in rushed air and sound and cold. They crossed a bridge, and Graham chose number 4, the gurgly sound of a melting creek. Lily dozed off. She woke up when Graham tapped her knee and pointed out a falling apart barn. "That's not pretty," Lily said. "That can't count." "We're not looking for pretty. We want beautiful," Graham said. So it stood, halfway to 10. I agree with Graham. Barns, yay. At a rest area, Lily bounced out of the car while Graham stretched her creaky body. Lily picked number 6. "The smell of the mud," she said, inhaling. Graham shut her eyes and nodded slowly. "It's earthy and rich," she said. "I'd never really noticed." Lily breathed in the mud smell and focused on just that. It poured itself into some of the empty spaces in her. Back on the road again, the car seemed smaller. The humming in Lily had stopped, but her legs wanted to sprawl and her stomach was getting queasy. "We're on a roll now," Graham said, and she was right about that. 7 and 8 were easy. A cloud shaped like a swan, and a little brown calf that trotted beside the fence. Miles and miles later, they turned onto their last road, and the clouds began to draw close. The sky grew dark, and the earth rumbled, and suddenly the air exploded in bright flashes, and cloud banks traded lightning back and forth, showing off. "Number 9, Lily whispered. There was no room for other words. The storm took up a whole world, and it filled Lily up too. She was here with Graham, and for a whole minute, that was all that mattered. On they drove. Almost there, not far now. When they'd been almost there for a long time, Graham braked, eased the car down a rumbling driveway, and parked in front of the farmhouse. "Here we be," she said through the drum of the rain. "Home." "But we only made it to 9, said Lily, slumping in her seat. "Oh, nope. 10 easy." Graham came around with the umbrella, and Lily stepped out of the car. "We're 10, Graham said. Lily sank into her familiar hug. None of this was easy. Maybe it would never be easy. But she belonged with Graham now. She belonged here now. This place wasn't empty, and neither was she. That's the second story that I had. Oh, art space in a barn. I love photographing barns. It's just... that is one of his videos. Super kind and offer. Lentera Jagged Art. Did you guys see that? That's Lentera Jagged Art. I have to write that down. Lentera Jagged Art. Okay, that's the pastel. Thank you. Art space out of a barn. My daughter's sister-in-law has a farm in Oregon, and she's a fiber artist, and she has alpacas and beautiful kind of sheep that have all kind of, just amazing, and she weaves and does all this beautiful stuff and spins, and she has my mom's loom, and their barn is absolutely incredible, the stuff that they have there. It's fun. Too dangerous. Old barns and old houses. I love painting them. Yeah, I love photographing old barns. I have one of my favorites that I have a picture of an old barn. I'll have to show you sometime that it's the barn, and it's just in the upper part of the upper loft of the barn, and right in the door, the parts that open, there's a cat sitting right there. It's so funny. Anyway, that was that. So, did I lose Angie? Did I upset? Oh, cool. Yes. I struggled with whether or not to bring these books, because I know that they weren't a real, they have a sad note to them, but they also have a note of real positive, of the fact that we as adults at some point can reach out to children at some point in anywhere and make a huge amount of difference, whether it's me with my grandkids, or what I do with schools, or when I do the projects with the art groups around here, and what I do with kids, or whether we volunteer someplace, or at the library, or step in and do any little kind of thing. Sometimes it just, we never know what those kind of stories and things that we do carries on. I know my grandmother never really thought that these things that she did with me would stick in my head. How long does it take? That's that story that I wrote about Grandma. How long does it take? About walking to the egg farm, and walking to having tea with Gila, and all these different kind of things we would do. And they're memories that I cherish, and that when I think back about it, just like in I'll Be the Water, they're always with me, and they surround me completely with that love that I never will lose. Never, ever, even though they're gone. And that's a pretty precious thing to keep with us and to share with others. Yeah. So, thank you, Nathan. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Both books were so amazing. He says very strong messages, that's for sure. Yet real positives that we have to hold on to. Yeah. I'm glad you guys liked them. So tomorrow night, tomorrow's Wednesday, so it's always a little bit wacky Wednesday. I have to do a little something wacky, and there's a very funny story up there, and plus I want to draw or do something, and have you guys. I'm trying to figure out this cemetery art project to do for a stream night at the Vaughn that our Two Waters is doing, and I'm in charge of the project. I volunteered. It's my deal. So I kind of have it down. I practiced it a little bit, and it looks kind of dorky. So I got to refine it tomorrow and see what it does, and then go from there. So, yeah. All right. So that's what we'll do. So I'm going to go and have some dinner and watch the sunset. Sunsets have been just crazy beautiful around here, and it's the sun. When the sun sets, let's see, what time is sunset tonight? Okay. Come on. Sunset. Where's my, there we go. Sunseeker. Sunset. The sun sets tonight at, details, May 10th. Sets at 8:34, okay? Pacific time. 8:34 is when it's going to set. Then we will have light, though. So it'll set at 8:34. Then there's civil twilight from 8:34 to 9:10, nautical twilight from 9:10 to 9:55, and astronomical twilight till. So there will still be light in the sky till almost 11 o'clock. at night. There'll still be a little bit of light reflected from the sunset. It lasts that long. It can be crazy beautiful. Sometimes with really bright pinks and golds and everything, and then as it gets a couple hours out, there'll just be this little rim of light, just this glow. And last night we were sitting in the hot tub, and it was a half moon, and there were stars out, and the sky was still lit. The stars were just starting to come out, but the sky was still bright enough, and you could still see clouds out. It was just crazy beautiful. Yeah, I love this time of year. Absolutely love this time of year. And I love our long sunsets. It's really fun. All right, everybody, I'm going to end my rambling. We're born into the physical and we're born into the spiritual, yes. Thank you guys. I'm glad that you enjoyed the stories. 7:40 sunset here. And Donna, where are you? I forget. I always forget. I need to write down where everybody is because I have your address. I know, Donna. But it's so funny how long it lasts. To watch 3 dogs are so demanding. Sheesh! Not even my dogs, my grandfur dogs. Kids. Up and down in no time. See, yeah, Hawaii does that. And then when I was in Arizona one time, I noticed that too, that sunset was like, boom, and it's gone. It's like dark all of a sudden. Yeah, no, ours just goes on and on. Yeah. SoCal, okay. Southern California, all right, so ours is late. Ours is late, and it's getting longer and longer and longer. It's just so fun, and the sun keeps moving further and further north, and yeah, it's just amazing. It's amazing. So, all right, I will be back tomorrow night with more. Have your sketchbooks at the handy. We'll come up with something fun to do. I'm itching to try. I've been watching on different kind of products and things too. Somebody had these Inktense pencils and other kind of stuff, and who knows. And then I saw a thing about transferring images from a photo onto a paper so that you could paint them. We'll see what I'm going to do, but I still have to come up with something that's simple, easy art, but kind of fits with a stream night theme and can be done by several hundred kids in just about 10 minutes each. Yes, I did say that. Oh, I'll figure it out. I can do it. All right, you guys, have a great night. And thank you so much for letting me share these books with you and for opening yourselves to what these books have to say and for letting me get them out and for reading them and for coming into my house and for bringing me into yours. I appreciate it so much. You guys are my tribe. It means a great deal to me. So keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around. You know it. You know where to find it first. Go say hi, beautiful, in the mirror right there. And I'll see you next time.
In the heat of the night, we could get lost in all the lights and sounds. Feel alright, we won't go home, we will just stay here downtown. There's not just stars on the boulevard.
Yes, Donna, I will. I'll kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid. Safe travels, Larry.
We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too.
raining at Larry's house? Okay, Larry's like 9 miles away across the water. And it's pure sunshine here. Yeah, Larry, I live in a little bit of a rain shadow. It's crazy. It's dance time. Oh, Bob's showing up. He doesn't dance with me. Okay. Ooh, you guys got a rare Bob appearance. He photobombed us. Yeah, he is drop dead gorgeous.
We could be famous. We could be famous. We could be famous.
Yeah, and Helen's sunny. Hi, Bob. Yay.